Okay, so I know a lot of people want to know how to make these cool shape things. And I don't know, they just like look really neat. And I'm just gonna show you how. So a way to make them is, well, let's just get one thing straight. In the 3D workspace, there is a grid that you can align shit to, and it's all in ratios of like, I don't even know, just like it works. So first of all, start off with like an orthographic camera. So make a camera, make it orthographic, set it back a bit, and put it into a merge, and then do the render, you know. Just do that first, okay? Because then you can plug stuff into it. So what you want to start off with after that is a shape 3D node. And of course, working in the 3D workspace is kind of weird. So in order to simplify things, go to camera, right click on the viewer, go to camera, and then go to left, just so that everything's 2D and it kind of like it's easier to manage. So the first thing you want to do in the shape 3D is you want to go into translation and offset stuff by -0.125. This is just so that you can align everything to the grid. Of course, the shape doesn't have to be a cube. It can be like a hexagon, fucking triangle. It could be anything. You just have to like adjust the settings accordingly to whatever. And yeah, so once you get this proper, you know, just like chilling, go to make a duplicate 3D node. And now what you want to do is change the Z offset, or you can make it like a set your amount of copies first, but then change the Z offset to 0.5. So what this is going to do is offset things exactly by one grid tile or one tile. So just like it keeps things organized, you know, and everything scales properly because you have the scale is set to 5 right here, right? So we have, and I'm scaling the X and the Y. So we have one, like, it's like, you know, one grid thingy tall. And when you have the duplicate node multiplying it by 5, it's good, you know, it's consistently going to be 5. So it's just like, just for consistency, everything stays aligned to the grid, so it's just fine, right? And you know, just, you know, copy these settings. I mean, honestly, I don't really think you have to copy the settings exactly, but it's just like if you really feel like it. So yeah, keep the pivot, make the pivot like centered. Actually, this setting doesn't matter. Never mind, it does matter. Because we have the square used to be like right here, but because we offset it by this much, we have to change the pivot to offset by that much as well, just so that it stays consistent. But yeah, just keep it, make the offset like that, or change the pivot to be like that, and then scale it by 0.5, offset it, whatever. So then now it's like this. And then if you want to see, go back to camera and perspective, you can't see it as a 3D shape, big pyramid thingy. We're going to change it back to left. So now what you want to do is add the next thing. And in order to add the next thing, you have to make another shape. And this time, this shape is going to be offset by the grid, so you can see that, you know, they're in a different spot. So this one is like, sorry, I gotta think. This one is offset by, you know, however much it needs to be offset by to be like in one grid, or to be like one tile to the left, and it should be scaled up to be 3, because then when you merge them together, it kind of like works, right? So now when you're duplicating it, in order to get the stuff to stay like linear, you kind of have to think about how stuff scales. And it is kind of weird because you have to think about ratios and do math and shit. And this is why using the grid piece is really, or using the grid is really effective, because you're able to get exact values and keep stuff exact. Of course, things don't have to be exact. You can always change them later, or like mess around and find your own shit, but this is just how I like to do it because it's consistent. So because this, you go from 1 to 3, you can kind of, or 1 to 5, the ratio of scaling ends up being 5, because, you know, you look here, it's 5. But for the other node, this duplicate 3D node, you're going from 3 to 7. So of course, you know, you got to bring out the fucking calculator, and you got to do 7 divided by 3 to get the exact ratio to plug into here. And then you can have stuff scale exactly linearly, and it just stays consistent the entire time. So now if we look at the camera and do perspective, we get this thing. Okay, and you saw how in the video he was kind of like twisting them. There are two ways to twist it. I feel like one of the methods for twisting it is you could edit the rotation of like each one and try and like line it up. This isn't the best, honestly. It looks kind of ugly. It just doesn't have that cool twist that you're looking for. The best option is to use a bender node, because what a bender node will do is kind of just like makes it look neat. I don't know. It looks better. So you go from this merge to this bender node, and what you want to do is do these settings. So change it to twist and change it to the Z axis, because that's what we have it on. And then you can kind of change the amount and stuff, but you can see how it's you know, it twists and does all the cool things, right? Also change the center to 1 if you want it to twist off the original square. But I don't know, you can just keep it however you want. So as you can see that if you go to the renderer, oh wait, I forgot I had this transform on, but you can see that in this transform, or in this renderer, you can see that there's like these weird corner edges, and you can like go back and see that that's because it's like the geometry of the shape is also getting twisted as well. So if you only are gonna have this thing be facing head on, just change the Z scale on each of the shapes to 0, to like, you know, the lowest value, so that when you look at it the renderer again, it's like flat, because now when you look at it, they're all paper thin, and you know, there's no more like weird geometry being distorted, like these curves, like these side edge pieces. And then it can only be like this, and like this is honestly isn't that bad. You know, it still looks fine even if when you enable this. Just that you will notice some like stuff, but if you don't mind that, then it's perfectly fine. You can just run it without having width. It's just that having the width is just for consistency, so it's easier to, you know, it's easier to work with, because like look at that, it's really hard to work with when you have it paper thin already. So yeah, that's basically it. And then you can kind of like keyframe it, do the camera stuff, and you know, you can get stuff like this, like the spinning thingy. You get this one, you can have this stuff spin. Yeah, that's honestly it. Just to recap, you have to make a shape. It's just like keep it consistent. Alright, so just to recap, what you want to do is, you know, make a shape, duplicate the shape to like, you know, the exact grid size. So do this, offset it by 0.5, duplicate it, whatever, and then you want to make another one, and then do some math with the grid pieces to make sure it all scales properly, and then you just bend it. And of course you can't really see the bend here, but when you go back into perspective you will see it. And yeah, you can kind of just do whatever you want with it then, you know, transform it, make a thumbnail perhaps, that kind of thing. And yeah, that's basically it. It's not that bad. There's actually a lot of stuff you can do with Davinci 3D, but if you want to make this cool twisty shape, then yeah, you can just go ahead and do it. So